Hey everybody, welcome back. So, gone are the days of CDs unless you are kicking it massively old school. I mean, the modern method is definitely a space saver since CD binders take up a massive fuck ton of space, but it doesn't feel the same. There's a sort of detachment that comes along with the modern methods such as Pandora or downloading an album versus holding the actual CD in your hand. I mean, not only that, but the actual process that went along with getting that CD into your midst. I remember there was nothing quite like rallying the troops on a Saturday and heading into New York City for a shopping trip, and we would always stop at record stores, specifically Generation Records. I absolutely love that record store. We all did, and in the basement they had a place where you can actually buy used CDs. You could also sell your own used CDs where you can either get money for it, which you wouldn't get very much, or you'd get a credit toward the actual used CDs themselves for less than half of the price than you would pay normally for it brand new. And this was also a great way of finding a new band. If you were, say, you've heard of the band before and you're like, you know what, I really wanted to check this out. Because you have to remember, this was a period where we couldn't just go and listen to it online. So whether you were just poking around the CD store aimlessly or you were on the hunt for something specific, there was nothing quite like getting that CD in your hand, bringing it home, somehow getting it open because that cellophane was like bionic and it somehow managed to mock your feeble attempts to get inside. What was that stuff made of? So you'd get your CD open, you'd take out the jacket, and then you'd leaf through the booklet and you'd look through and look at the pictures of the band, and you'd look at the lyrics, the names of the songs. It was a very personalized look into the music, and it gave you a deeper connection to it. It's not like it is today. It's very detached. I mean, not to mock the modern day methods, because I will freely admit that I use them myself. However, comparatively, it feels soulless. So back in the 90s, we found out about our music by various means, and one of the main ones were through compilation discs. Now, Cleopatra put out some amazing ones, as did Nightbreed, Zothamog Project. I know I'm probably missing a few, and I will probably remember them after this, but if I remember them, I will put them in the description so that you can find them. I don't think I knew one person that didn't have at least one of the volumes of the Goth Rock compilation. There were, I believe, 3 volumes of that. There was In Goth Days, there was Gothic with a K, and there was Touched by the Hand of Goth. There were so many compilations, and they were all really useful. Compilation discs were such a great way of being introduced to new bands. Let's say you're into Rosetta Stone, and you get one of these compilation discs that have Rosetta Stone on it, and you're listening to it, and you're like, wow, I'm really loving this Rosetta Stone, but holy crap, I love this Corpus Delicti. Who is this band? Or, whoa, the Switchblade Symphony is totally kicking my ass right now. So it would introduce you to these new bands, and then immediately you would be interested in finding out more about these bands, and thus would increase your CD collection. I suppose a modern version of that would be listening to a song on YouTube and then looking at the suggestions in the sidebar, or creating a Pandora playlist based upon one of your favorite bands and then just listening to what, playlist it generates for you and what bands they come up with. So still not the same. So a trend in the 90s amongst these compilation discs were a Gothic tribute too. Now, a lot of times they would feature industrial acts, but it was a Gothic tribute to a certain band. So we had a Gothic tribute to Bauhaus. I believe that was called Passion of Covers. I'm pretty sure it was Passion of Covers. And then we had a Gothic tribute to Sisters of Mercy, which was First, Last, and Forever. There was a Gothic tribute to The Cure, Gothic tribute to David Bowie, Gothic tribute to The Doors. There was a Gothic tribute to Edgar Allan Poe, which was really interesting. But they all featured a lot of Gothic and industrial bands that we all knew and we listened to and we really loved, and we got to hear them do these fantastic covers of big bands that we listened to, like Sisters of Mercy or Bauhaus or The Cure, which was really, really cool. So I thought I would create for you a little compilation of my own, a short one, a little montage of some of my favorites that I remember from back in the day, and I hope you like it.
It's like a little prayer. I'm down on my knees. I wanna take you there in the midnight. I can feel your power, just like a prayer. You know I take you there. I hear your voice.
Alice pressed against the wall so she can see the door. In case the laughing strangers call and crush the petals on the floor. Alice in her party dress, she thanks you kindly, you safe and sound. They were not dead, they'd underground. The passion of lovers is for death, said she. The passion of lovers is for death. The passion of lovers is for death, said she. The passion of lovers is for death.
Spider-Man is having me for dinner tonight. It's really quite grand. The moment still await the hour. The masquerade for time's dead flowers.
I get so nostalgic when I hear all this music again because it reminds me of the dynamic that my friends and I had. And we'd always somehow gravitate toward my house and we would pile on my bed and we'd listen to all this music. And the way that we were is that we loved to be the first one to introduce you to a new band because it gave us such a feeling of satisfaction. Because the first time we heard this great band, we couldn't wait to share it with each other. I remember us all sitting around listening to the various tributes and really critiquing them. And I remember saying, yeah, I really loved the Shroud's version of Alice because it deviated so much from the original. It was so good. Or, what the fuck was with David E. Williams' version of Black Planet? Funny story about that, actually. Neither myself nor my friends, we've never heard of David E. Williams before. So this was actually our first experience actually hearing his music. And when we heard the version of Black Planet, we were all chattering amongst ourselves, as we're listening to the CD. When that version came on, the room fell silent. And we were basically just looking at each other in awe. And my father had actually heard this from wherever he was, because if you decide to hear the version or if you ever heard it, it kind of reverberates through the floorboards, and we had all wood floors. So he walks into the room. I'll never forget his face. He goes, "The fuck is this?" And we couldn't answer him because we were pretty much in the same fucking boat. We had no idea. But if you decide to have a listen, it's a pretty funny version of Black. I'm sorry. I had to listen to it today just to see if it was as funny as I remembered. No, it's still really funny. Have a listen. I honestly should probably make it a point to try to listen to some of his other music now that I don't have to pay for it. And perhaps it's really good. I don't know. I don't want to criticize a person's music. I feel really bad at the direction this video has just taken. But I'm going to stop it there. I hope you've enjoyed this trip down memory lane. And I guess if you have not subscribed, by all means, please don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. So until then,